I just got finished watching this particular interview, and Fast Car, aka Eddie Hearn, says some interesting things here. Now, Shelly Finkel has said that he has received this contract from Eddie Hearn with regards to the Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight in April, and it doesn't have Anthony Joshua's signature on it. Apparently, it's only got Eddie Hearn's signature on it, and I'm not sure if Finkel is claiming that the terms are different on this version of the contract that was sent or not, but certainly Anthony Joshua's signature was not on it. That is what Shelly Finkel was saying. Well, Eddie Hearn in this interview says that most fighters don't actually sign contracts. It's their promoters that sign the contracts, and he's saying that Shelly Finkel knows this. He says that the document that fighters sign is the bout agreement, and that document is often not even signed up until a couple of days before the fight. Sometimes it's signed before then, but it can often be a couple of days before the fight when the fighters sign it. So it's the bout agreement that Joshua will sign, but the actual contract for the fight, the promotional contract, that is only Eddie Hearn that signs that. That's what Hearn says in this video. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be wrong here, all right? But I'm sure I remember Eddie Hearn saying that he was going to send some document, some contract to Team Wilder with Joshua's signature on it. I'm sure he said he was going to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, all right? If I am wrong, fair enough, but I'm sure it was Eddie Hearn who said that, not Anthony Joshua. Because in this interview, Eddie Hearn's saying, well, it was Anthony Joshua who said, oh, I'll sign the contract and, this, that, and the other and send it to him. I'm sure it wasn't Joshua. I'm sure it was Hearn. So here's the thing. What Eddie Hearn is saying about Joshua not signing the contract and him only signing a bout agreement and that being standard procedure in boxing, that might be true because Eddie Hearn owns Joshua's promotional rights. He represents him from a promotional standpoint. So that might be true. All right. But if Eddie Hearn did say we're going to send we're going to send Finkel a contract with Joshua's signature on it, and all Deontay needs to do is sign it, did he mean that in a metaphorical sense, or was that PR from Eddie Hearn, to try and put pressure on Team Wilder and, misdirection and all that kind of thing? Because that, I can't really make sense of why Eddie Hearn would put himself in a position to end up looking so stupid as to say we're going to put Joshua's signature on it and send it to him when he knows that Joshua's signature is not going to be on it. Joshua's signature is only going to be on the bout agreement. Why would he say something that stupid that can backfire that easily? I don't know. Maybe this theory that some people have that there's collaboration, there's some kind of collusion behind the scenes between Hearn and Finkel, unbeknownst to their fighters. Maybe there's something to that because both sides are doing really strange things. Hearn and Finkel are doing odd things. Finkel and Barry Hearn go back a long, long way. So is there some kind of collusion between Finkel and Barry Hearn, Finkel and Eddie Hearn, where they're keeping their own fighters in the dark and just getting their fighters worked up? Is that what's going on? I don't know. I've got no idea. I'm not suggesting that is what's going on. I'm just trying to make sense of all these weird moves by both sides. Strange stuff. Hearn has talked about Wilder's team agreeing to the original terms. But then he says now they're turning around and saying these terms are terrible, but you agreed to those terms. And that's fair enough, but they didn't agree to the terms for a fight in April. They agreed to the terms for a fight this year. That has to be said. God knows who's telling the truth behind the scenes. God knows if there's actually collusion and collaboration between Hearn and Finkel. Do they have such little respect for their fighters that they would do something like that? I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest with you. But what I've said all along, and this is just my personal belief, is that both fighters want to fight. That's what I do believe. But I have to conclude that one or both sides, in terms of the management and promotion of the fighters, Wilder's side and Joshua's side, either one of those sides or both of those sides are delaying the fight. It has to be. There's no other way to explain what's going on here. As far as the fighters themselves, I believe they both want it. You know, so God knows. But that's one thing we can say and about this contract situation is the bout agreement. Fighters sign a bout agreement, but if their contractual rights are owned by their promoter, then it's the promoter who signs the contract. And Eddie Hearn is saying Shelley Finkel knows that bout agreements are what the fighters sign, and the contracts are usually just signed by the promoters and managers and stuff like that. He's saying Shelley Finkel knows that. You know, as in Shelley Finkel shouldn't be kicking up a stink about it because he knows that fighters don't sign contracts. They sign bout agreements. But then again, why did Eddie Hearn come out and say that Joshua's signature will be on the contract? All kind of funny, weird behavior going on from both sides here, people. And the bottom line is, I just hope the fight happens. One thing Eddie Hearn does say in this interview as well is that he's hearing that Deontay Wilder wants to fight in November rather than December. Reason being, this is what he's hearing, and I hope this is true. Jesus, I hope this is not just a rumor. I hope it's not Eddie Hearn just trying to keep hope alive, you know. As who said that? Was it Al Heyman? Not Al Heyman. Al Sharpton. Was it Al Sharpton who said that? Keep hope alive. Whoever it was, I hope it's not Eddie Hearn trying to keep hope alive in the eyes of the fans, you know, in order to promote, in order to help sell Joshua's next fight against Povetkin by, you know, selling them a pipe dream that the Wilder fight's still going to happen in April. But anyway, Eddie Hearn is saying that he's hearing on the grapevine that Deontay Wilder wants to fight in November rather than December because he wants to leave enough time to prepare for the Anthony Joshua fight in April. I hope to God that there is some truth to that. I hope to God that people can put their egos aside, do whatever it takes to get this Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight made. And in between that, you might get Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, potentially. And hopefully the winner of that will still take Joshua in April. I want to see this heavyweight championship consolidated. I want to see all the belts brought together so we can see an undisputed champion, just like Usyk did recently at cruiserweight, just like Terence Crawford did several months ago at 140 pounds. That's what I want to see. Let's see the heavyweights do it. And this is, not only is this a golden era for heavyweight boxing, we're in a great era for boxing in general. This is a great time for boxing. Look at all the undisputed champions who are coming out now. We're managing to consolidate all the belts. And by the way, there's never been a time in boxing history when becoming undisputed champion was as difficult as it is today, because of the fact that there's so many belts and there's so much politics. I mean, there's always been politics in boxing, don't get it twisted. But when you've got multiple belts and you've got sometimes multiple cash cows per division, it makes it more difficult to consolidate all the belts. So big up to people like Usyk, Terence Crawford. Now, they weren't in divisions that had a lot of cash cows, to be fair, so it was a little easier from that perspective. But Joshua and Wilder, they are in a division where you've got Joshua, who is a massive cash cow. You've got Wilder, who's not really a cash cow, but he's still making millions per fight. You've got Tyson Fury, who's still a well-known character. You know, there's certainly bigger names in the heavyweight division overall. There's more big names in the heavyweight division than there is in the cruiserweight or the light welterweight division. That's the point I'm making. So it's a tough time to become an undisputed champion because of all the politics involved in the amount of belts that exist now, but it's still happening, which shows you how good boxing is right now. What a great place it's in. So yeah, let's be happy about that. And the final one, the one that most of us want to see above all others, is the undisputed fight at heavyweight between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, or potentially Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, or it could be Povetkin against Wilder or Fury. We'll see. Whatever the case may be, drop your comments in the comment section below and let me know how you feel about everything I talked about in this video. All right, it's happening. I'm out.